But my standard is I will not let that happen. Right? If it happened once, that would be the last time it ever happening. I don't care what I have to, if I have to cancel people the next day or bring people in off the street to, shuffle them through, that would never happen again. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD podcast, very fun episode for us. It's quick to the point, but we have a lot of value. Today, we are talking about what it takes to be in that top 1%. Why does every single optometrist show up and do eye exams and some are better than others? I'll give you the reason that's happening. Closing thought of the episode. This is the Ultimate OD podcast. Here we go. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD podcast. Thank you for the likes, the listens, all you Ultimate ODs out there. I love talking to you every week. This is no different. We're going to have a good week, good conversation. This has been on my mind right now. This is a really big topic for us to be successful. Okay? So, I guess I could give you a little feedback here. I am at a crossroads of decision right now where do I want to go all in on my dry eye aesthetic space or do I want another practice? There's a lot of focus and stuff that I have to do and kind of thinking that out. That's led me to go on this path of how do I get better? What do I want to do to be just a better practice? And when you think about it, there's not a doctor out there that you ask, hey, do you want to be successful? Yes. Is your practice where you want it to be? Most of us hope, everyone that's ambitious is going to say no. And a lot of doctors that really are just trying to figure out the business are going to be like, no. I don't think anyone's ever complacent. Some people trying to get out, they might feel better about where they're at than, the younger docs or docs that are still trying to grow and chase something bigger, right? But at the end of the day, if you're in business, if you're moving forward, and look at any restaurant, any business owner in general, let's get broad, right? We're all working hard. Like we all put in hours and time. You see doctors that are putting in 60-hour weeks, right? You see business owners that can't get away from the business. And we talk a lot about the evolution that I'm trying to go through, that I think every business owner should go through, where you are the business. Without you being in the exam lane, you're not making money, to working on the business, to being a business owner, where the business runs independently with or without you. If not, it runs more efficiently and more effectively when you're not there. Well, then what do? I don't know. You built this. You created it. That's something in itself. It's a weird thing to consider and think about, right? Because we put a lot of our identity into being doctors, into being the owner of the practice. If you're successful and you pull yourself out and it runs without you, does it really need you? Who are you? Is it your identity? But look at like big companies like Jeff Bezos, right? Amazon, that thing is running without him, right? He's made it. He's a genius. He gets all the credit. But it can run and operate without him, right? And it doesn't lose any of that credibility. You have to know that going in. But we are so closely tied to the business that sometimes it's hard for us to grow and make it better. And that's kind of the rabbit hole that I went down to bring us to what I want to talk about today, is that every single one of us works hard and we want to be successful. The difference is we all have the same commitment. We all have different standards. Okay? So it's the standards that we set for ourselves that are going to determine where we're at. You could have two athletes that are committed to running. Like middle-aged mom runs every day. She's not going to miss her run. And then Olympic marathoner, going to run every day, doesn't miss their run. The standard is the difference, right? And that's something that I think was really, when I came across that concept, really enlightening to me, is that that's how we can all be on the same team. We can all like collaborate. I talk to every different walk of life, different doctors, etc. And I love talking to doctors. I love getting insight from them and trying to figure out where they're going, what they're doing, how they're doing it. And you can learn from everyone, right? We all have the same commitment. We want to be good. We want to focus on this or that, but we all have different standards. There's certain things that happen that I would never, at other offices, that I would never let happen at my office. For example, I was talking to a student that's in a rotation, and the question I asked him was, hey, you've been at the office for X amount of time. What would you change there? He didn't have too much at first. He goes, well, I guess, there's times when we're like an hour behind schedule and we've had patients walk out because we're so far behind schedule. And I'm like, oh, that would never happen where I'm at. An office that I'm managing, or an office that has my brand on it, no, we do not do that, right? And that, again, we're committed to patient care. We're gonna give them great exams, but my standard is I will not let that happen, right? If it happened once, that would be the last time it ever happening. I don't care what I have to, if I have to cancel people the next day or bring people in off the street to, shuffle them through, that would never happen again, right? And that's my commitment. That's my standard. So the cool thing about that is that's how us as colleagues, as doctors, we can have such broad topics. We have a review of optometry, optometric management, and we all read these things and we get different things from them. That's why self-help books, all these business books, they're there. The business owners are literally giving you their playbook, what they do. Alex Hermosi is a perfect example of this. He will tell you exactly what he does to a T, and there's not a million Hermosis out there, right? He's one of one. And that's because we all take this, read it, put our own little twist on it, and that's how I always used to say it. I tell you this podcast. I tell you exactly what I'm doing. You call me up, I'll tell you how to do it, or what I do. But you're going to hear it, you're going to have your own little thing, and you'll put your own little twist on it, right? Well, what you're doing with that own little twist is you're putting your standards to the same principles, and standards matter. Okay? Well, the question then I ask you is, if you want to be better, if you want to be great, what standards do you have right now that you need to raise? Good question, right? How do we get better in our practices? Well, we got to find one or two things where the standard needs to be raised. One of the things that I've noticed, as my focus is where it is, my passion, my heart right now is in my rejuvenation dry eye, RDET, the dry eye center. It's what I want to talk about with every patient. It's what I want to look at. We're doing fine in optical, selling frames and glasses. I think we could be doing a lot better. My focus is not there. So that's the question. Do I raise the standard in optical to have a better business, or do I keep raising the bar in the dry eye aspect? Well, let me help make this a little more clear. You have these things that you focus on, right? And you want to do. That's what I always talk about. And I know I'm beating this to death. I always say you have to have a vision. Where do you want to go? Strategy is knowing what to say no to. You only have so much time and energy in the day. And 20% of what you're doing is giving you 80% of your results. That other 80%, if you don't want to abandon it, which I don't in this world, I think optical is a very important thing for what we do currently. I would love to operate in a practice where I didn't care about commodities like glasses and contacts, where my worth and value is in my medical expertise, the treatments I do for dry eye and ocular surface, add in some aesthetic things that we do. That's the dream, right? But in this current day and age, a lot of revenue comes from optical. We need to have someone that does that. And that's where you have to realize that's what I'm talking about when you have a business that runs without you. I have a passion and desire to grow the rejuvenation side. I just need to find someone that has a passion for the optical, right? The rest of my team can handle that other 80%. The 20% that I think is valuable is where I need to raise the standards and where I need to focus on, right? But that same person that I hire or have that is interested in the optical, that's where their focus, effort, and energy is all lasered in on, right? And that's how you have a very good business. And at some point, if RDAC, I want to grow and expand and I don't want to go further there, I hire someone to focus on the clinical care. I can handle the business aspect of growing this, marketing, etc., and go from there. So, two things that I want you to take right there is one, what standards do you need to grow? And then two, where are you putting your energy and focus? And do you have a team that can handle the things that you don't want to do? You will find that the majority of businesses will focus at that middle 50%, right? Mediocrity is the standard, right? You have a couple of businesses that are garbage that are down in the bottom 1%. You have a couple of businesses that are elite in the top 1%. That top 1%, their business does not even look close to what that middle 50 is. But people don't, like me, myself, I don't think big enough sometimes. Had another conversation with a colleague and has a business they're running. I'm like, what is your end goal? What are you trying to do here? And kind of said, I'm like, that's the thing, man. Think bigger. You have this point here, but if you think bigger, you can always look back and work back and see where you need to be. But that bigger will get you to a higher standard. Example, analogy I heard. Father was talking to his son, and his son was playing tennis. And his goal is to play college tennis. And when the father asked him, maybe we're not thinking big enough. What if we said, let's say our goal is professional tennis. Is everything you're doing right now, is it good enough to be a professional? No. Okay? What could we do and change to take your training so it'd be good enough to be a professional? And when he had that big goal of professional, his thought was, well, I wouldn't do this. I'd only work with these coaches. These are the things that I would do. A professional would do it this way. And then they took a step back and said, well, if that's what it takes to be professional, do you think if you did those things, it'd help you get to be a college tennis player? Absolutely. Well, then what are we doing right now when we only thought we wanted to be a college tennis player? When you say you want to be a professional tennis player, you have a whole new standard you have for yourself, right? So if I were to say to you, I want 10 offices. Well, how many do you have right now? 1. What do you have to do to get 10 offices? I have to get a lot more aggressive right now. Like what I'm doing is not going to work. I'm adding a line here or there. If I want 10 practices, I don't need to go as specific in my offerings. I just need to get more volume. I need to buy another practice. Like the more complex makes it harder to actually grow because you have a different standard, right? If they're just simple, we're just doing glasses and contacts, just open up a shop down the street, buy a shop over here, right? Like, you see what I'm saying? What is your goal if it's really big? And if it's like, one of my goals, like one of the elite best dry eye centers in the area. I want to own the state of Michigan, right? Well, then I need to go really deep into this. And I don't need to worry about the optical, right? I don't even need to focus on this. I need to buy this piece of equipment. I need to be able to look at this, right? A lot of different messages, but where do you want to go? What do you want to do? But by raising the bar and raising your standards, you get a lot more clarity on what you should be doing. Whether you listen to that is another issue, but see what I'm saying is when you don't want to be in that middle, you want to get to that top 1% and realize the top 1% doesn't look anything like that middle 50. They are like two separate entities, and you're like, well, I can't do that. I'm just going to get a little bit better. It's essentially, you have a horse and buggy. You're trying to remodel the wheels so they spin a little faster or they have a little bit more durability. Where the 1% as building a Ferrari. They don't even care about the horse and buggy. They're not trying to modify or maximize or just get a little 1% increase. They're trying to build a whole new category. I thought that was very enlightening. Think bigger, do better quality, get the life that you want, get that office you want, get the business that you want. That's what I have. We'll have more for you next week. Where has the time gone? We're to the closing thought of the episode. And today, I will leave you with this thought that I ran across. And I thought it was really good. It goes well with the podcast that we have today. It's that, what's the difference between courage and confidence? Right? You need both, in my mind, to be successful. Confidence is knowing what you do, you feel good about it. Courage is taking that leap and going after something, right? But there's a very distinct difference. Confidence feels good, courage doesn't. Right? Courage doesn't feel good. You're doing something that obviously it takes courage to do. You're jumping off that cliff. You're going for that 1% that we talked about in the podcast, and you're not settling for where you're at. Confidence is, in a sense, like, hey, my practice is producing profit. If I just keep, polishing up here, doing what I'm doing now, I know I'm going to be in X, Y, or Z. Courage is, I am a dry eye specialist. I know I'm going to be good at this. I love it. I have a passion for it. I'm going to buy a $100,000 piece of equipment because I think I can build it, right? I'm confident I feel good it will work, but it takes courage to take that leap. Well, if you're going to start your own practice, it takes courage to take that leap, right? I think that's good to know, because sometimes we say, trust your gut, do what feels right. Well, courage doesn't feel good, but you need it to make big moves. You need it to be successful, in my mind, right? Confidence is necessary too. You got to believe in yourself, but confidence, you feel good going in. Your confidence is going to happen. You need a little bit of courage. I think that's the spot you want to be, because you're taking big shots, taking big swings. And my biggest advice whenever asked that I would give to my younger self is take bigger shots. Even today, I tell myself that. I'm going to tell you that today. Take bigger shots. That's what I have for you. Dr. Lily, out.